Okay, hi. My name is Michal Toman. I'm currently employed by a company named Imagination Technologies. You might know me, I've been working at Red Hat for quite a while before. And now I have been contracted to work on...
Michal, is Fedora part of your official time job?
Yes.
That's cool.
So I have been contracted to work on Fedora for MIPS. What I will be talking about is firstly MIPS architecture in general, then MIPS and what it means for Fedora, where are we, then some hardware that you can or cannot use and buy, and hopefully a live demo. So, MIPS in general. MIPS has been around for quite a while. It's been introduced in 1981 as a university project for RISC CPUs. The MIPS company was founded by the professor who led the university research team in 1984. SGI, as you may know, bought the company in 1992, and Imagination Technologies. I mean, there hasn't been a lot of work around MIPS in the last decades, let's say, and Imagination Technologies just bought the company in 2013. So, for the actual CPUs, there are loads of instruction sets, different instruction sets. We can basically divide them into two groups. First are legacy, which ended in 1998, and then modern ones. The legacy MIPS 1 to MIPS 5. Some routers and some boards are still using them, but I don't think that's really relevant anymore, or for something like future development. So let's talk about the modern ones. They call them MIPS 32 and MIPS 64, obviously. MIPS 32 and 64 are specified in revisions 1, 2, 3, and 5. Wikipedia says 4 was skipped because it brings bad luck in Asia. I don't know whether that's true or not, but and there's a new specification, release 6 for both 32 and 64 bits, which was designed by Imagination Technologies, and which has some compatibility issues. It's not really all fully backwards compatible, because the rest is fully backwards compatible. The release 6 solves some historical issues that MIPS has to this day, but at the cost of the compatibility. So, NDNT. MIPS can do both. You choose. Basically, it depends on what the CPU is designed to do, but in general, you can just pick the NDNT address set and go with whatever. Unlike other architectures, MIPS has 3 major ABIs. It has the O32, which is the old 32-bit ABI. It has 32-bit data registers and pointers, and it has some extensions, like for floating point registers. I'll be talking about that. Then there is N64, which is like fully 64-bit ABI, and then there is N32, which is kind of hybrid. It has 32-bit pointers and 64-bit data. It's the opposite of what Intel does, because Intel wanted just to have more memory on 32-bit data, and MIPS wanted to have 64-bit data. Like, for example, you want 64-bit time or 64-bit counters in the network appliances, but you still want to keep your binaries as small as possible. So that's the motivation. And for the variants of the O32 ABI, the first 2 are quite straightforward. Like the floating point registers are either 32 or 64 bits. The FP64A is kind of interesting. It took me a while to get how it works. But it actually tells your system you have 64 bits wide registers, but underneath the implementation in hardware is that you actually use two 32-bit registers. I don't know whether the kernel does it or probably glibc that splits it and sets it into two registers. And actually, if you have an embedded assembly or whatever, you only can use the even register addresses. And if you use the odd ones, it will fail compiling. So yeah, and then there is the FPXX, which tries to be somehow compatible with everything. It assumes nothing and really either uses what's available or goes with whatever code is linked to it. Like the FPXX code is kind of neutral. And if you link it with 32-bit, it starts assuming 32-bit. If you link it with 64-bit, it starts assuming 64-bit from that moment. Today, MIPS, where MIPS is used. Networking, of course, switches, routers, embedded on network cards, internet backbone, telephony, microcontrollers, in car industry, in like different driver aids, wearables. There I even seen a tablet, and of course video game consoles. And I was told MIPS is also starting to play in high performance computing. And what usually runs on MIPS these days? It's Linux. Android has been ported in 2012 or 2013, I believe. All the BSD variants. And of course, I was surprised, actually, that the embedded Windows, I knew about that, but Windows NT up to the 4.0 has also run on MIPS, like on every other architecture.
May I just add something?
Yeah.
It's also used in aviation, on the MIPS processors in aviation, the real-time operating systems
Yeah.
are used there.
Is the MIPS architecture still RISC-like path, or is
Yes.
it changed?
It's RISC. So, MIPS and Fedora. There has been a bootstrap attempt between Fedora 11 and 13, and they called the architecture MIPS 64EL. It was using the hybrid N32 ABI, little Indian obviously, but there was little interest, and in Fedora 13 it just died. I mean, you can still get the packages from the original author, but it's it's a subset of Fedora 13. So then we have started our Fedora 22 bootstrap in last year in March. We chose two architectures. MIPS 64L, which is now fully 64-bit, and little Indian, obviously, and MIPSL, which is the 32-bit ABI with the FPXX, with the most compatible variant of all the ABIs. And at this moment, we are in stage 4. We are preparing to deploy Koji. The Koji hardware has been due to arrive in October, then November, December. And actually last week I got the photo of the actual machines standing in a rack. So I believe we finally have that, and we can deploy Koji now.
So there are actually 64-bit MIPS machines available?
Yes, I'll get to that. You might see, I've sent an email that Fedora 23, or a reasonable subset of Fedora 23, um, has been sort of released on last week, basically, or this week even. There are some images for QEMU and images for CI20 board. I'm going to get to that. So status. For 32-bit MIPS, you can see it's like almost 7,000 out of some 8,000, I think. It's 8,008 packages, source packages in Fedora 23. XFace and LXD desktops work. There are some issues with building Java, like some real issues that we need to address. Adan is bootstrap. Valgrind only has support for the fully 32-bit ABI. It has no support for 64-bit extensions. And one thing is that the -pi flag that Fedora uses for hardening is kind of broken on MIPS and breaks every package that uses hardening. On the 64 bits, there's a little less packages built just because the build farm for 32-bit is a little larger. Desktops also work via VNC. I am not aware of any MIPS 64 machine with video output. Yeah, Java builds, but Eclipse needs bootstrapping, and Ada obviously. And it has some interesting issues with Lungsun cores, which are made in China. Some Lungsun engineers try to contact us sometimes. They raise compatibility issues, like they have some instructions that are rounding values in a different way than other cores, and they always ask us to disable some optimizations, or well, basically almost all the optimizations to, be fully compatible. But when you ask them, what's the root cause, you get no answer, or you just get ask my manager, and that's the end of the conversation, or something like that. So, yeah, needs more communication, definitely. Okay, issues. We've got quite a while. Obviously, packaging, IFARCs. Some packages lack upstream support. There's no OCaml for MIPS. And yeah, different JavaScript JITs are or are not working, or even if they have MIPS support, it's for some ancient instruction set, and nobody really works on that anymore. So that's it. An interesting thing that the GNU build IDs aren't supported in MIPS. If you try with build ID style called GNU, GCC fails. Obviously, Bootstrap required. I was talking Java, Eclipse, Ada. Interesting thing, 32-bit MIPS only has 3 gigabytes of virtual space in a kernel. You cannot add more. Don't ask me why. It has something to do with mapped and unmapped memory, but that's as far as I understand it. Yeah, the -M 32 and 64 flags are not recognized by GCC, which some Fedora packages add explicitly by the mode. Yeah.
64 is not it's not present also on ARMv8.
Yes.
So a lot of packages fix it for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you need to add like IFARC ARM64 and MIPS64L. I've seen that. It's saved me quite a lot of work. Yeah. Another interesting thing that uname only tells you MIPS or MIPS64. You don't get the NDNT. You don't even get the instruction set, or MIPS64 release 6 isn't binary compatible with the previous binaries, but it tells you MIPS64 anyway. So that's not a good way to distinguish your architecture. And most of the packages actually use AutoTools or CMake and they handle it properly, but there are some packages that just check your name and go for it. So, yeah. Yeah, -L atomic needs to be specified exclusive on 32-bit MIPS. I have no idea why, but it just needs. Java, that's a really interesting story. I've been trying to with the zero like interpreted mode. It builds fine on 64 bits. On 32 bits, it dies on illegal instruction. I've asked several guys why this could be. I mean, our internal tools guys, Java guys, kernel guys, and nobody is able to tell me. When we disassembled the code, found the instructions, just put it into a text file, compile it, and run, it was working. So only in the context of Java, for some reason, the instructions are illegal. We've been on that for quite a while, and I mean, nobody's able to tell what could be the issue. Yeah, and then there's insanely long build time. I mean, MIPS obviously is not the most powerful architecture in the world, but my most favorite package for the last half a year is libint, which is a library that computes integrals, which it actually takes some 7 or 8 hours to build on primary. On 32-bit MIPS, it took 21 days.
Oh my God. I thought that Qt4 building for 5 days is long.
No, but I actually think there's something like conceptually wrong. I mean, 21 days is really too long for a sane build. I mean, I understand it's C++ and C++ is slow, but yeah, there's probably something that could be done. Yeah, and the full list is on Fedora wiki. If you just go to wiki Fedora project.org architecture MIPS, you can find it. Future plans. Short term, deploy the Koji, finally. Of course, and finish the bootstrap. Midterm, fix or exclude all the packages. I mean, bring this to a state where it's a secondary architecture like every other. For sure, we will be bootstrapping the R6 architecture. It's been added to QEMU in summer. And from long-term, imagination wants to be included in Red Hat Enterprise Linux, but there's still a long way to go for that. So, hardware. Current status of hardware. Very little standardization. I mean, very little. Every chip manufacturer builds its own. I mean, it's very similar to ARM, even though ARM like unifies over time, or at least a bit. This is in the state where ARM was, I would say, 5 years ago when we started with Fedora. And it's even the same status in the kernel that you cannot build a generic ARM kernel and module for a chipset. You need to pick the one board you are building for at the beginning. And this, well, with ARM, Fedora did the flavored kernels, and it was a pain in the ass, but that's what MIPS. Yeah. But that's the status MIPS is in at this moment. So, yeah, lack of support in upstream kernel. No, I would say current hardware runs on upstream kernel. Some boards are very close to that. Some are very far from that. But with fully upstream kernel, there's very little support. Of course, there's a lack of hackable hardware because mostly MIPS is used in embedded boards, like it's embedded on your 10 gigabit NIC, or it's some coprocessor for whatever. But you cannot really like run your operating system on the actual MIPS CPU.
You can get yourself a router and rip it open.
Yeah, you can do that.
And you could have like development board for cheap.
Yeah, the issue with that is that routers usually don't have more than 256 of memory, 256 megs of memory, because for some reason, I'll tell this historical reason, I don't see into that. MIPS only has support for 256 megs of memory, and if you want more, you need to enable high mem, which decreases performance. Yeah, and you can buy router boards, but they are usually big endian. At this moment, we are not building big endian Fedora. We might add it in the future. The issue is really, I would say, lack of build hardware, because we just got our little endian Koji. So, but there's no like conceptual problem with doing that. Really, it's just the resources. And yeah, usually the memory. I don't know if anybody of you tried to use Fedora with 256 megabytes of memory, but you cannot really use DNF if you have that. Maybe Atomic could be a solution for that. I mean, because I don't know. Time will show. One board you can buy for sure is the Creator CI20. It's been designed by Imagination Technologies. Just to have some development board. It has a dual-core CPU, gig of RAM, 8 gig NAND, whatever SD card slot. It's basically similar to all the ARM development boards that came out over the last 5 years. It has also a pinout compatible with Raspberry Pis, and you can get it for 50 pounds, 50 British pounds. I think it's $65 in the US. Yeah, I'm getting to that. The CI40 is a 32-bit board. It's 32-bit little endian. The board Imagination is planning next is the CI40. It's designed to be for the Internet of Things. It's not really a development board. It has a low power consumption CPU, double core, dual threaded, so you should actually see 4 threads in your OS. Again, it only has quarter gig of memory. It has a small flash, and it has some dedicated chip for the 6-low-pan stack used with the Internet of Things. Imagination will actually ship it as a kit. They have some sensor boards already designed for it. I think there's a box and 3 sensors by default. You can buy more. They have raised funds on Kickstarter. The board, I believe, is either being in production or design is finished and will go to production, but it's coming. They raised enough funds on Kickstarter.
Can you still order those?
What?
Can you still order one of those?
No. Yeah, and then we have the 64 bits, the SDNA. It's, I think, some dedicated network appliance, software dedicated network appliance. It's MIPS 64R2. Cavium built these boards. They come in several configurations, from 4 to 48 CPUs, from 4 to 46 gigs of memory. And they have SATA slot for system. You can order them from Reno Labs. It's an American manufacturer. If you want to have it shipped into Europe, you need to pay taxes, unfortunately. That's the issue. They don't mention price. Last time I've checked, they've only sold to companies. They only had one product. When I checked, when creating this presentation, now there are actually I think 5 or 6 configurations available from presumably cheapest to the most expensive. We only have, in Imagination, we have the SDNA 7130, whatever. It was the only one board that was available. It was codenamed UTM-8. And it was about $1,000. It's a quad-core MIPS, I think, with 8 gigs of memory. Yeah. Yeah, and these machines are actually the machines that will become Koji. It's a photo from the data center. Yeah, so I mean, you need to ask Rinola. They have a form like ask us if we want to order.
So it's basically one a bit crappy 32-bit board, which is quite cheap, or insane 64-bit hardware.
Yeah. I never said the situation with hardware is good. I mean, I would love to tell you. I mean, buy this board. It's
even worse than an MV8 situation.
Yeah. When I was planning the presentation like half a year ago, or half a year ago, ARMv8 wasn't in the shape it's now, and I was like, will be able to compare it to ARMv8, but at this moment, I mean, really, it's worse. But there are other boards planned. I mean, Imagination just bought the MIPS like 3 years ago, and they basically started thinking about new boards, and they really do plan some next board. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we will get some more.
Without same available hardware, the work you do will basically waste of time.
Yeah, I see.
Because
I understand that.
okay, you will build a MIPS 32-bit distribution, which you cannot now call Fedora because it's not official.
Yeah.
Right? And it will be used by two boards, right? One is for Internet of Things, where most of people will go for ARM anyway.
Mm.
The other one is for this 1 gigabyte memory board, where most of people will go for ARM anyway. Or you have 64-bit for one server. So, good luck.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I cannot tell you anything else.
It's like you have long-term plan is, it would be great to have RHEL on it.
Yes.
Replace RHEL by CentOS, and then it will be closer to reality. Because CentOS, once you get Fedora running on this hardware, you can use it to bootstrap CentOS.
Yeah.
And CentOS you can build on your own. You can play with CentOS guys, get it included, etc. And in RHEL, for basically very niche market, I don't think it's possible.
Maybe we should let him finish his presentation before we shit all over it, okay?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You can of course use QEMU. It works. There are a lot of CPUs, both 64 bits and 32 bit, both big endian and little endian. There are some issues like you cannot get SMP for whatever reason, and you can only specify 2 gigs of memory. QEMU doesn't let you specify more. Live demo. Okay, the moment of public humiliation. Okay, hopefully not today because the presentation is being run from the CI20 board. You can see I have a Bluetooth mouse and keyboard. Yeah. Unfortunately, the GPU driver is proprietary, so you have to use frame buffer. But it mostly works. I don't know. I've got Bluetooth peripherals. I can connect to the Wi-Fi, hopefully, even though it's unusable here. Yeah, that's about it. So that's my live demo. If you want to see anything, just ask. I can try. Yeah, sure.
Nice progress.
So, one of the things that you pointed out was there's not a lot of upstream support. Is Imagination working on
Yeah, so Imagination bought MIPS as a company in general with all their employees. They are in process of somehow merging the workflows. They want to do that, but I mean it's still work in progress. They want to do this. They want to work upstream, but hopefully we'll get there.
Is there a lot of manual work involved in spreading Fedora on the MIPS? Or is there some automated thing you could do that for you in case you decided to do it for another architecture?
No, it's all manual work. I mean, when you get to the point where you have Koji, you can actually do some automation. But before that, I saw a project that would actually try to ease up this process. I don't know what status it's in.
Debian has something like that.
Yeah, I know Debian has a shell script where you basically bootstrap Debian architecture, and on the other end you get an ISO, but no. Yeah, no, Fedora has nothing like that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Are there any plans to open up the GPU stuff?
Yeah, so the GPU is the Power VR chip, which is actually the primary business area of Imagination, so it's their own. And but they are discussing building or providing some limited open source drivers to the kernel so that it works at least somehow. Basically something like Nouveau or yeah. It's not yet there, but the discussions are ongoing. Yeah. Anything else?
For servers, are there any plans to support UEFI?
No. I mean, there's no. The short answer is no. I mean, I'm not aware of any. There might be in future. I'm not saying UEFI will not be available, but at this moment I'm not aware of that.
But there is one standard bootloader for platform.
You mean the?
You have several boards, and basically one. I think that they standardize on U-boot.
Yes. There is the original MIPS bootloader. It's called, I don't know, CFE. Yeah. I don't remember exactly. But basically all the current boards work with U-boot.
Yeah, there's boards ship U-boot 114, which is from year 2002-ish. It's 14 or 15 years old. Fine vintage.
I mean, the CI20 board has.
It has a newer one.
It has a newer one.
That's excellent.
I'm not sure how much they push, or what part of it they pushed upstream, but nothing.
No.
Okay. Because I know in a kernel there are bits. I mean, you can build upstream kernel with CI20 dev config, but it actually doesn't work because you don't have any storage subsystem to put your rootfs on. But well.
Do you have networking operational?
Yeah, I've got.
Mainline kernel.
What?
When you build the mainline kernel, do you
Oh, I didn't try that.
because then you can boot from an LS.
I've just checked last time that MMC, USB, and NAND didn't work at all, so I gave up.
USB should be doable.
And I mean, the patches are, you can grab the patches. They have 3.18 kernel on it. And they have Git repo. You can grab the patches. There's lots of them, really. And you need some, I mean, USB chipset support for the actual.
I don't think so, actually.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah, I'm really not a kernel guy. I really just like working on the packaging stuff and bootstrapping. So, But definitely make your point. I will raise it to people who work on that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
You mentioned that there is possible to build a machine from up to 48 CPUs.
Yeah.
Is there on one bus or is there architecture like memory or something?
Good question. No idea. I mean, the board is, if you go to Reno Labs site, they have pre-configured. It's like the most powerful board is 48 cores and 64 gigs of memory, and that's basically what's written there. And in case you want to order or more information, contact us. That's what's written there. So that's as much as I know, really.
Multiple CPUs in that machine.
Anything else? No? Well, thank you then. For those who ask questions and don't have a scarf, you can take one here.
Já jsem tam mohl poprosit, že jestli nám tu prezentaci hodil na web.
No jasně.
A opustím tě tady ještě někdo?
No jasně.
Perfektně. Já jsem zrovna teďka nějak v nedávné době jsem začal rozhodit na terosích MIPS. A začal jsem konečně dávat
No.
jako USB se dá, USB v pohodě, ale oni většinou tam toho nalepí nějaký HCI. Prostě napakovaný někde do toho testního prostoru. A na to hodíš jenom generický HC kontroler a pak ti to je.
Môže byť ako naozaj proste kernel si viem buildiť s nejakým configom a to je všetko.
A userland je rozbitý. Jako userland je fakt prostě on hníje, no, ten userland. Tak no a to lidi moc nepoužívají. OpenVRT si dělá svoje věci a tvoj mainline userland je prostě.
Jo, dík. Tak.
Čekaj. Jinak já jsem ho zabil, ahoj. Abrt Team je vlastně ten mám na starosti. Já o tobě vím.
Aj ja som už počul o vás tým pádom.
Prosím?
Že ja som už tým pádom o vás počul.
Já jsem byl dlouho zaměstnaný v SGI, takže jako o MIPSu samozřejmě to historicky. Ale tak to jsou to takové všetečné otázky.
V podstate od Irixu sa nič nezmenilo, ako by to bolo 10-15 rokov mŕtvé.
No,
Teraz akoby Imagination sa k tomu dostali tak, že v 2013 sa predali všetky patenty, oni kúpili ten zvyšok tej spoločnosti.
Co zbylo? No. Jídla už tam, byly tam nějaké poslední hambáče, nevím, kolik kůže si neseženeš, jestli teda ještě pořád chceš hodit.
A tak, je to tam...
A nějaký ovoce, jablka tam ještě pořád jsou určitě.
Takže je vlastně
To bude asi nejzajímavější přednáška z celé možná.
nebo jako konkurovat Armu, nebo...
Co by mohli něco domyslet?
Jakoby Imagination kúpil s tým, že oni majú tie vlastné grafické čipy, to je akoby primárna platforma. A teraz ich vlastne len prepredávajú ľuďom, ktorí vyrábajú telefóny.
Tak já si myslím, že naši jako
Naportovali si Android na MIPS, to funguje, začali vyrábať vlastné telefóny a to vlastne.
Já se ještě musím podívat na záznamu, jak to tady vypadalo, když jsem tady nebyl. Jsem mě zaháněl někdo z toho.
Máš teda už nějaký ISO hotový na tu práci? No nějakou Fedoru? Nějakou? Co to bylo za co jsi čekali na ten?
To byla 23. ISO to není úplně, je to prostě image.
No image aspoň nějaký máš.
A pak Denis Gilmore,
Já
ten byl potom, ten
plánuji, že
přišel
bych se
za
teďka přidal jako do farmy, ale nečekně něčeho vyššího vlastně, něčeho, co už je hotový, samozřejmě nejsem můžu to spustit tu testuju to, ale už to můžeš dávat ven, nebo?
Je to všechno, jakoby je to pod detektorem, ale...
Je to stáhnutelný, to je. Dojedě potom tak možná písnu maila, když bys nehodil linky nějaký.
Ale alebo Fedora, linky na Wikipedii.
tu kamošům, alebo
OK.
je to tvoje
Tak jo. Tak dík.
tady měl len.
Chytnout ještě zeptat se z Fedory, jak jsi organizoval jo, jak scháněl si recepty. Fedora,
No, to není možné.
Fedora na Fedoru. To je typické rozhodčí a Fedorou.
No jo, teda se
Jo, jenom to převzal.
Akoby vlastník toho,
rozdáváme to tady jako...
vlastník toho, mám všechno. Vlastník toho,
A už je to.
Hi, how you doing? So I go look in my email where I filter this guy's email, and he's like, dude, you lied.
That is so awesome.
It's crazy. So I'm writing him an email back you know, you're like, you're never going to guess where I am. Like,
Right. Right. Congratulations. How are you guys?
How are you?
Sleepy? Hopefully I am properly caffeinated. Oh, thanks. No, if I could remember where I put my talk, that would also help.
Jasně. Michal, co? Já možná bychom měli jít takhle někde. Nerušíme.
All right, that should be good. This?
Yes, you can.